Welcome to NEBA Spotlight. I am so excited to introduce one of our members, Judith Jameson, who is our love coach of the group. So Judith, tell us about you. Tell us about your business.
Oh, thank you so much, Greg. I'm so happy to be here and to share some information with people and really give people some hope, not necessarily for the people here in the room, but people you may meet out and about, your coworkers, your cousin Vinny that says, oh my goodness, I can't find somebody out here. I specialize just in the 3 areas of love, which you see here on my cover page here: dating, marriage, divorce. So the date coaching is helping men and women find a mate worth keeping. Somebody that married their mate, now they have a mate, but the marriage is going sideways. I do marriage repair work. My claim to fame with marriage repair work is I've never lost a couple to separation and divorce, and I've been doing it for 13 years. The last area, which is not the same as the first 2 clientele, is divorce coaching. That is where I started, and that combines my paralegal degrees as well as experience working for divorce attorneys and understanding the ins and outs of the court system in any state or any country. So I've had clients in Brazil, Canada, France, probably getting 2 more in England, because you get one client and then they tell their best friend, hey, you may not think you need help, but your marriage needs help. You need Judith. This is one of my favorite quotes by Albert Einstein. It's not that I'm so smart, it's just that I stay with problems longer. People often ask me, how can you stand what you do? It can be so stressful. I'm like, I embrace the stress, the difficulties, the brokenness, because I've been there myself. I've had, good lawyers, bad lawyers, good therapists, bad therapists. And I've certainly had my share of good dates and bad dates, which probably could be a presentation all on its own. My number one saying to all my clients is slow and steady wins the race. This is not a one and done. You don't come to me for one session and then your marriage is better. You don't come once to learn about how to pick someone on farmers.com or, oh no, that one's called farmersonly.com. If you can believe that, that's a dating website. I don't have any farmer clients, so I haven't been able to use it yet, but I am entertained by it. And then my other thing that I like on the right, because there is no need to rush. What is meant for you will always arrive on time. And this is so true. When people are ready to give up, that's when the magic happens. So I'm going to give you 3 scenarios over the next several minutes of actual clients. I have the permission to use their information. One of my favorite ones is Vladimir. Not Vlad, he doesn't like that nickname. So if you ever meet him in Kennebunk, he comes to Kennebunkport every year from Serbia as a waiter at one of our favorite restaurants. We met him 4 years ago, and over time we started to get to know him. He was in a very long-term relationship. He's in his early to mid 30s. His girlfriend, super young. She was like, I think when we first met him, she was like 22. I'm like, what in the world kind of an age difference are you working with here? He was questioning whether she's the one. They'd gone to some counseling 2 years ago. We got that update, but I kept in touch with him and started date coaching him. One of the first things I did was I gave him the homework of reading the 5 love languages, because he and his girlfriend were definitely not working in their love languages. He wants kids. She was only 22 at the time, so obviously she's not thinking about kids. So we really were doing some date coaching one-on-one before I started to work with her as well. So it ended up being couples work afterward, but primarily it was him, because he was trying to figure out stay or go. I'm not going to sing the song, but you all know it. Should I stay or should I go now? And here we are this summer. One of the last days that we were up in Kennebunkport in early September, and there's Vladimir, the happiest guy I've ever met in Kennebunkport. We love this guy. He's like a son to us. He's actually a couple of years older than my son. So that is a date coaching example of how successful I am with my clients, because I'm really working to, if they're with someone, I'm trying to improve their dating, or if he was going to split, then I was going to be working with him to find somebody else, because that's hard to do. Finding love is hard to do, but that's what I do with my clients, and strengthening how they connect and how they disconnect. The biggest problem that most couples have is they're afraid to let go. So you know how when you go, I knew I should have left this person 5 years ago. Yep. Well, when you're working with me, that ain't happening. They're going to say, was I supposed to leave them 5 days ago? 5 days ago? I'm like, yeah, 5 days, not 5 years. The second area I work in is marriage work, which I love marriage work because couples are so broken when they come to me that they feel like it's absolutely not going to work. They take the attitude of sort of the invisible crossing of the arms, like, yeah, well, you don't know the things I'm about to tell you. When you hear these things, you're going to say, the other person's all wrong. And if they don't stop doing that, I'm not coming back to another couple session. So I have a very strong contract that I use with all my clients, but my strongest one is the marriage coaching, because there's a lot of clauses in there about you can't quit. So it's basically like, if you're taking this on, you're going to be staying together. That's just all there is to it. This couple was difficult though. The reason why is if you sneak down to the second bullet, which you're probably already reading these, not only did they have a child with autism, but there was infidelity, and the infidelity was off and on for like 10 plus years. I was honest with them. That is one of the four most difficult areas to work on. There's so much forgiveness that has to move a couple forward that I spent 6 months working with them just on forgiveness. And I worked with her privately because I was like, every time you blow up in our meetings, you're ruining it. So we need to have separate conversations with you so you have a place to blow off steam, but you also need to learn to package it up and put it behind you. Take that suitcase of all that stuff and put it behind you. Right now, it's right beside you and you keep grabbing the handle. Get your hands off the suitcase. Very high conflict. Here they are. So this is when they were younger. Now, her husband doesn't look that happy, but she's usually pretty happy. The kids look like they're having a blast, right? They're on vacation. He's not happy at all. It turns out he was thinking about one of his girlfriends at the time. Same with this one on the right. But this one on the left is when they took a vacation to Hawaii after working with me for a little over a year. I don't usually work with clients more than a year because I'm pretty effective in a short amount of time. I have a specialty training in SFBT, which is solutions-focused brief therapy. The last one is divorce. So with divorcing clients, the main thing I'm doing is lifting them up emotionally, giving them tools to keep them from overthinking at night about all the terrible things that are going on in their life. But I'm also, if it's a divorce, I vet the attorneys, I vet the mediators if they want to mediate. And I'm only working with one person. This is not marriage. This is not marriage work. This is helping one person have a leg up in this process. Most people tend to say, hey, Greg, do you know a divorce attorney? And Greg says, I don't, but I have a friend that got divorced. And Greg and his friend don't know any better, but their friend Jane or Bob may not have had a good attorney. They just don't know it. So I do, because I know how to vet them. And so almost all the clients that I get that are already, if they're already in the process, I am almost always telling them up front, you are probably going to be going through the painful process for you, but easy for me, of getting you with a different attorney. Because there's so many divorce attorneys out there that they aren't good, they overbill, and they don't call people back. My personal pet peeve in any part of our lives. Who wants to go a week without hearing from someone that's selling fudge or somebody that's, putting your website together? Like, that's just not a thing. Like, what in the world are these people thinking? They get away with it. And the reason why they get away with it is because people think that attorneys are so busy that they're not supposed to call them back. I'm like, that's just not a thing. So this particular guy, the main problem with this particular marriage was that he had a very domineering wife. There was abuse of lots of different things, financial, emotional, verbal, and a little bit of physical at times. So his self-esteem, for obvious reasons, didn't really exist, to be honest. But here he is. Last summer, he came up to Kennebunkport for a day to see us. Most of my clients end up being friends. I still keep in touch with most of my clients. I have other pictures of Vladimir and him because they got along great. And they were comparing their coaching, divorce coaching and date coaching with me. So that is a divorced client that's happy and well, and he's currently ready to date again. So if anybody knows anyone, he's a great guy, really great guy. And so this is what I say, when you're working with my coaching, you have to get out of your comfort zone. I have my ways of doing things. They're proven records. They work, and you have to trust the system. It's not going to feel comfortable because you're like, wait, am I really supposed to do that 10 times today? I'm like, yeah, you are. So it's especially with like marriage clients. It's like, yeah, you got to kiss your spouse 5 times a day and you have to put it in your journal that you kissed them. They're like, really? I'm like, yeah, it's a thing. So once they get out of their comfort zone and they trust the process, that's where the success happens. And that's why my clients and I end up having lifelong relationships and why I love what I do in the area of love. So that's all I've got today, Greg. Thanks for having me on.
Judith, great presentation. I'm so excited you're presenting on Valentine's Day. Thank you for what you do for everybody. So we look forward to supporting your business.